Perfect. Continuing with building our vocabulary in the travel section, we're going to talk about travel preparations and potential problems that you might have preparing for a trip. So let's dive into this vocabulary section. So what do we make sure that we have before we travel? Certain things that we need are going to be a visa. A visa is a document that gives our permission to be able to enter or stay in a country for a specific period of time. You might have a visa for 30 days, 2 weeks. I know that in China recently they changed their visa policy to allow foreigners to travel for longer, for example. But there's many different types of visas, and you have to make sure that you have the appropriate visa for traveling. Awesome. So another thing that you need to do before you travel is you might have some paperwork to do. Paperwork meaning the things that are implied with travel, to do with paper, to do with applications, for example. You might have to apply, which is the verb, for the noun application. The process of formally requesting something. For a visa, you might have to apply for a visa. You might have to do a visa application or a travel permit. These are application processes that you might have to go through to secure that you can arrive safely and legally into another country. Excellent. So you also have to have travel insurance when you're traveling. That's extremely important, that it covers any dangerous activities or any potential emergencies medically that you might have in your experience while you're traveling. So cancellations can be included, and other potential risks can be covered by your medical insurance or your travel insurance. It's always wise to travel with travel insurance before a long trip. Awesome. We also have to apply for. This is the verbs, the phrasal verb that we use for apply. Okay, so we apply for something. We apply for a visa. We apply for travel insurance. Yeah, so we need to apply for this particular type of paperwork. We also have the idea of our visa can be either accepted, granted, two words that mean the same. So it can be successful, another word to describe it. So our visa can be successful, it can be accepted, and it can be granted. Three fantastic synonyms to say that you got your visa through. And the negative would be, does anyone know? You don't want to see this on your visa. Cancelled or rejected. My visa was rejected, unfortunately. So that's when your access is denied, or your request is denied or rejected. So we have another three synonyms there for the word of negative. Cancelled, rejected, and denied. Okay, amazing synonyms to describe the negative experience. I hope that doesn't happen to you. Thankfully, not yet. It hasn't happened to me. So if that happens to us, we'll have a lot of problems to solve. Solve is a good verb to know on this kind of topic. There's often a lot of problems with our flight bookings or maybe our visa applications, and we have to solve the problems before we travel. What's something that can happen while we're doing all this application process is there can be a lot of issues. A lot of discussions and problems with this type of, I hate to do this. This is what we call bureaucracy, paperwork, filling in forms. This type of thing for me is exhausting. I hate it. So there can often be issues in this process, and it can cause us problems that we need to solve. So a good word to know is the word issues. Fantastic. This is also called documentation. We have to have our documentation in order to make sure that when we arrive to a country, we have everything we need to show the officials at immigration to be able to enter the country. If something goes wrong while you're in another country, do you know what you have to do or who you might have to go to help you? The place would be called the embassy. The embassy is a government office in a foreign country. From your home country, you would have an office that was representing your country in that foreign country. And if you had any issues while you were traveling, you could go to the embassy to apply for help. Maybe you need to renew your passport, or you need to apply for an extension to your visa, a visa extension to stay longer in the country. Awesome, simple but effective, very important for traveling. We must have a passport. So if you didn't know this word, the word is passport. And if you do know it, a good verb to do with it is renew, means to do again. Remember this, re is a suffix in English that tells you that you're going to do something again. We can reapply for a visa or we can renew our visa, means to do it again. So if our visa runs out, amazing phrasal verb, in 2024, then we need to apply again or reapply for our visa, for our passport, to make sure that it's in date. In date meaning that it's functional in the dates that are given. So it has to be legally within the dates that are on your passport. So you need to make sure you renew your passport so it's up to date. Awesome, nowadays after COVID, this is a real serious reality. Vaccination certificates for traveling. This is something pretty new, but is something that might become more and more popular and common, is the fact that we might have to prove our vaccination certificates as we travel to different countries. It's become more common since COVID, but obviously existed. I remember traveling to Thailand and you had to have a few different types of vaccinations for specific types of diseases that didn't exist in the UK. So when we're looking for a flight and we're looking to book a flight, we're going to do the action of flight booking. Okay, so the process of reserving your seat on a flight is called a flight booking, and I can say I made my flight booking online to get a discount. Excellent. So when we're traveling, usually we have some kind of plan of where we're going to go on our trip and the different destinations or areas or cities that we're going to visit. And we call this altogether an itinerary. An itinerary basically is a planned route or schedule for the trip that you are taking. So you're going to find out your different spots that you're going to visit with your itinerary. Awesome. So if anything does go wrong, you might go to the embassy and you might speak to who? Who might you speak to? You would speak to a consulate. A consulate is the person that would help you at the embassy. So if you lost your passport, you might go to the embassy and speak to the consulate to be able to apply for a new one. Awesome. There is some really interesting words and vocabulary for the purpose of preparing for your travel and making sure you have all of your documentation in order. This type of language is extremely useful and difficult, so make sure that you practice it again and again. And I'm also going to be giving you a listening and reading practice, so stay tuned to practice this new vocabulary whilst listening, and then access the reading inside my Skool free community by clicking the link in the description below if you want to take part in that. I hope these videos are helpful. Keep it smooth, and I'll see you in the next one.